WWE talent are worried about releases following a Nick Khan interview. We've got the real reason WWE scrapped an upcoming pay-per-view, and WWE are working on a brand new TV show. Come on, it's the news. So you may have seen or read the notes of that Nick Khan interview recently, where he said that big WWE cuts are going to be coming. They're looking to shave off $50 million dues moving forward. Following the acquisition of the company, and talent are said to be very, very worried about this. It must be mentioned before we get going with this is from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, that Khan did specifically mention that they're not looking at making creative cuts or talent cuts, but people are still very, very worried about this, according to the Observer. While not saying there would be cuts, he did say the focus is on lean and mean, and obviously overlapping jobs can be consolidated, but he said they are looking at cutting costs. The creative team of production team at places they're not looking to cut. Khan had previously talked about a minimum of $50 million per year in budget cuts, but emphasized that production and creative not be effective. This has led to a lot of concerns among talent, particularly those Paul Levesque brought back after Vince McMahon left. There have been no significant talent cuts since Levesque took over as head of creative, and a lot of new signees, although of late the new signees have been mainly Division I college athletes on the developmental side. I'd be worried if I was in Hit Row.
Yeah, no. It's true. There's been a lot of there has been a lot of people that Triple H has brought back, and they've not really been given anything substantial.
Varying degrees of success.
Quite often we see them not really being utilised on TV as well.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
And I can imagine why some people would be worried about this. I mean, $50 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot that goes on within WWE on the production side and you know, sets and this, that and the other and other jobs. And 50 million sounds like it could spill into perhaps
wouldn't surprise me. I just don't think you can trust what Nick Khan says. Not because it's Nick Khan, not having to go at the guy personally, but it's all corporate speak, isn't it? He's going to say whatever, and then if talent cuts come, they come, right? And I think inevitably they probably will, which is really sad, because especially if you've just been brought back, that must suck. I remember the Smackdown before WrestleMania, they did the armbar, the Andre Battle Royal, and I couldn't believe, like, I think about 30% was made up of recent Triple H re-signings, and they just obviously didn't know what to do with half and like some big names in there as well. You had Gargano in there and stuff like that. So I don't want to speculate on who's going to be going. That was a joke about Hit Row. I wish, obviously, I hope they do well. John Morrison sure thinks that these cuts are going to be happening. John Morrison appearing on Ariel Helwani's MMA show at MMAfighting.com. In this interview, he said, I think they're going to let a bunch of guys go. I think salaries are going to get cut. I'm really glad AEW is around to balance that out a little bit, because if they weren't, there would just be no leverage, nowhere else to go, and WWE and UFC would be this weird monopoly that wrings the money out of the livelihoods of the fighters and wrestlers, and I just think that sucks. I like John Morrison.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
I mean, it must be worrying, right, when somebody who's been in WWE, like Morrison was there various spells, but he was there for an awful long time. He knows how things work, and like if John Morrison's just in an interview saying that, I think that's probably going to happen as well, that's only going to increase the anxiety and the tension, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's already got to be a lot of that with the merger and stuff that's just happened now, and not really knowing what could come from this and what could happen to certain people's jobs. So I think Morrison probably has a lot more insight than
exactly.
Others.
He's been there, done that, hasn't he?
He certainly has, yeah.
Next up, an NXT star making their main roster debut last night, sort of. It was on Main Event. We saw Dexter Lumis versus Eddie Thorpe. I'm not going to tell you the spoilers, just in case you're one of the 4 people who watch Main Event. But also the WWE NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, Isla Dawn, taking on Nikki Cross. A lot of talent there. A lot of talent on that sheet of paper.
A lot of talent on that sheet of paper. And, I know we joke about Main Event, but it was recently that Tyler Bate and Dolph Ziggler had a big old...
apparently it's brilliant. I've not watched the match,
like
actually.
A banger on there. So, I mean,
doesn't surprise me, those two.
No, absolutely not. But rather than sort of like... Because I know a lot of people would just scoff at certain things like this, but...
Dark side, Phil.
But there is a lot, as you were saying, there's a lot of talent there on that card. And
yeah, for sure. Good for that. I mean, it's all TV exposure. Don't read too much into this. It's been mentioned in recent months that just because somebody is going to appear on Main Event, just because somebody's going to appear in a dark match prior to a SmackDown or a Raw or whatever, it doesn't mean they're coming up anymore. But still interesting to see. I really like Isla Dawn. I think she's great.
Yeah,
next up, we got the real reason that WWE scrapped the King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. So this was the show that was going to be taking place in in Saudi Arabia. It's a bit vague, this, right? But it's all going to become clear. That's literally what the report says. Regarding the reason the show in Saudi Arabia was changed from King and Queen of the Ring to Night of Champions was a booking decision. We were told it will become obvious why after the Puerto Rico show and in the build to the show. What immediately springs to mind here is that literally falls on the 1,000th day of Roman Reigns' reign.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly
something to do with that, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
I can't quite work that out, but it's nothing to do, because other people were speculating the fact that like the Saudi government or the sports authority or whatever it's called wanted that change. It's nothing to do with that. It's a creative decision.
Yeah, apparently
what is it,
so.
Andrew?
Well,
what is it? Help me.
No, I genuinely don't. I think
Why not?
I think the main thing is with the Roman Reigns 1,000 day. You want to sort of celebrate it in some capacity. I think me and Tom have been talking on the news about this before, and Saudi Arabia, they also like the big stars to be there at the show. They want the champions and everything there. King and Queen of the Ring, not that the people participating in that aren't big stars within themselves, but I guess they're not on. Some of them aren't on that main event level, I guess, as well, and that's usually what Saudi Arabia wants.
I wonder if they'll do the show. I wonder if they'll. I can see them just doing it on a Raw and a SmackDown. Maybe Raw gets the King and SmackDown gets the Queen, and 2-night tournaments. I don't think we'll see it as a pay-per-view premium live event, what they're calling it. Next up, very exciting news and something I'll certainly be tuning into is WWE are working on a brand new TV show. This is from WrestleVotes, who say, hearing there is a new joint show in the works between WWE and USA Network where kids will compete with superstars in a trivia challenge currently titled, this is the worst thing I've ever heard, WWE Tall versus Small.
That just sounds like Vince McMahon, just like a Vince McMahon.
What do you mean?
Isn't there? He's tall, he's small.
Yeah.
Off you go, fight each other.
So maybe a few spoilers as to who will be involved in that. So you're not going to see you're not going to see Gable in there because he doesn't fit. Because the small is the children, right? I would assume. So we might not see Gargano involved. No, it sounds great. I watched that. What's that thing? It was like called Silent Library. Let me know in the comments. Do you remember it? It was a load of basically enhancement talent doing this thing where they've got to act certain bits out and guess things while remaining completely silent. I think it was an MTV thing. I was watching that the other day. I don't think this is going to be a long-running thing. This isn't going to take over Raw or SmackDown, but one to keep an eye on for sure. And we finish off with the news that we've got 2 title matches set for tonight's SmackDown. First of all, the IC title is going to be on the line when Gunther defends his title against Xavier Woods. And the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are going to be putting their belts on the line against Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. But that's not it. There's more. There's more reasons to watch the blue brand because Ricochet and Braun Strowman are going to be taking on the Viking Raiders following that backstage assault. I'm very, very excited about all. Did you see any title changes happening there?
No,
not me.
No, Gunther and Xavier Woods, though, I'm excited to see. I was
it could be good,
hoping maybe it wouldn't have been so soon to maybe build people being like, oh, he's going to take it off Gunther, maybe. But I don't know. I don't see that happening at all.
It sounds horrible. Nothing against Xavier. But while Xavier isn't doing that much, I'd like Gunther to absolutely maul that man.
I want there to be a fighting chance.
Yeah.
I want there to be a fighting chance at least. But I mean, ultimately, Gunther will feed him to the Dowls.
Absolutely. There we go. So we're not too far away from your next premium live event, Backlash.
Yeah.
Sort of just round the corner.
Not next week, the week
a bit
after.
ago.
Yeah.
Away rather. So that is it, hopefully, for the news today. It's been a very, very busy day, as you can tell. We'll obviously be doing a standalone video about WWE Tall versus Small, which Andrew and myself are going to be presenting for obvious reasons. Anyway, have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. See you in a bit.